You are rolling through July heat in an old American coupe. Elbow on vinyl, that little triangle vent window cracked open just right. The air does not blast, it slips in, cools your face, clears the cabin, and makes the car feel alive. Modern cars gained airbags, screens, and cameras, but along the way, they quietly lost features that were simpler, smarter, and sometimes genuinely better. So were they really obsolete, or did cars lose something important when they became modern? And the first lost feature may be the one people ask for more than any other. I will be your guide through the odd little decisions that made American cars feel different, from family sedans to muscle cars to long highway cruisers. This is not a claim that old cars were safer, cleaner, or better built. Most were not. Modern cars protect you in ways a 1965 dashboard never could, but some vanished features solved daily problems with simple hardware you could see, touch, and understand. They moved air without a fan. They gave drivers control without a menu. They made breakdowns less helpless, cabins more comfortable, and ordinary commutes feel personal. That is the real story here. Not nostalgia for chrome, a look at useful design we may have thrown away too quickly. So start with the feature that turned a closed car into a rolling front porch. Vent windows were tiny triangles with a job. Crack one open, twist the latch, and the car scooped outside air straight at your face or chest. Before air conditioning became dependable, that mattered. A full window brought noise, dust, and a hard slap of wind. A vent window gave you aim. Driver, passenger, cigarette smoke, summer heat, point and adjust. They disappeared because modern cars became sealed systems. Better air conditioning, smoother aerodynamics, fuel economy rules, and cheaper door construction all worked against that little hinge. But airflow was only one thing old interiors did better. Sometimes they changed the entire social feel of the car. A front bench seat turned the cabin into a small sofa. 3 people could sit across in a full-size sedan, a pickup, a taxi, or a police cruiser, with no console splitting the room in half. That mattered because the layout was flexible. Slide in from either door, stretch a knee, set a bag beside you, let a kid sit between parents. Buckets won because cars became sportier and busier. Shifters, cup holders, controls, and airbags filled the center. And once that middle space disappeared, another classic control vanished with it. The column shifter made that open front seat work. Instead of putting the gear selector on the floor, automakers mounted it beside the steering wheel. Your right hand moved a short lever. Drive, reverse, park. Done. In big automatics and even old 3-speed manuals, it kept the cabin clear and the driving position relaxed. One hand on the wheel, one elbow on the seat back. Very American. Then floor shifters started looking faster, and center consoles became control towers. But some of the best controls were not on the column or the dash at all. They were under your left foot. On many old American cars, the high beams lived as a metal button in the floor. You tapped it with your left foot, low beam, high beam, low beam again. No searching for a stalk in the dark, no taking a hand off the wheel on a 2-lane road. The switch was sealed, sturdy, and placed where your foot already rested. It faded when steering columns collected more controls and cabins got tighter. But the idea was perfect. Put the job where the driver can do it instantly. That same idea, simple hardware ready when you need it, matters even more when something goes wrong. A full-size spare was not a suggestion. It was a real tire, mounted on a real wheel, sitting in the trunk like backup equipment. You got a flat, jacked up the car, bolted it on, and drove away at normal speed. Today, many cars give you a skinny, temporary spare, a can of sealant, run-flat tires, or nothing at all. The reasons make sense. Less weight, lower cost, better fuel economy, more cargo room. But the trade-off is brutal. One nail in the wrong place can turn a 10-minute roadside fix into a tow, a ruined trip, and a long wait on the shoulder. A full-size spare was heavy. It took space, but it respected the problem. Of course, not every missing feature was about emergencies. Some were about making every drive feel like an event. Then came the buttons. On late 1950s and early 1960s Chryslers, Dodges, Plymouths, and DeSotos, the transmission controls could sit on the dash like a little command panel. drive, neutral, reverse, low. It freed the floor. It cleared the steering column. More importantly, it made the car feel futuristic. You did not just pull a lever, you selected a mode. They disappeared because drivers, regulators, and manufacturers settled around familiar shifters and clearer standards. But for a while, starting a drive felt theatrical. And speaking of drama, few body styles made a normal street feel more glamorous than the next one. The pillarless hardtop took one simple thing away: the center post between the side windows. Roll all four windows down on a 1965 Impala or a Cadillac Coupe de Ville, and the whole side of the car opened into one clean sweep of chrome, glass, and air. Not quite a convertible, almost better, because the roof still stayed there, but that missing pillar mattered. It helped with strength, rollover protection, side impacts, and weather sealing. As safety rules tightened, the magic got harder to justify. But if a pillarless hardtop gave you the illusion of a convertible, another feature gave you half the sky without giving up the roof. T-tops made that promise real, with two removable roof panels and a solid bar down the middle. On a late 70s Corvette, Camaro, or Firebird, you could lift the panels out, stash them in the back, and keep the car's sharp roofline. Sunshine, wind, attitude, without the full commitment of a convertible. The catch showed up later. Seals aged, latches rattled, rain found your lap. Thieves knew those panels came off too, and as bodies got stiffer and safety expectations rose, the compromise lost its edge. Yet some of the most charming old features were not obvious at all. They were hidden in plain sight. On many classics, the gas cap was a little magic trick. Flip down the rear license plate on a Chevrolet, press a taillight on a Cadillac, lift a trim badge on a Mopar. Suddenly, the fuel filler appeared where the body had looked perfectly smooth. That mattered because designers were chasing clean lines, not little square doors stamped into the quarter panel. Refueling became a small ritual, but modern crash rules, evaporative emission systems, and packaging needs made exposed filler doors the sensible choice. Sensible won, charm lost. That sense of playful design also appeared right on the front of some of the coolest cars ever built. Then came the wink. On a Corvette, a Miata, a Firebird, the nose stayed low and sharp until the lights rotated up. One second it was a wedge, the next it had eyes. Pop-up headlights existed because sealed beam lighting rules once forced cars to use fixed-sized lamps. Hide them, and designers could keep the front end sleek without breaking the law. They faded when better lamps, pedestrian safety concerns, and repair costs made moving parts hard to justify. But not every missing feature was flashy. One of the best was simply honest about what the driver needed to touch. A heater slider had a job. So did the headlight knob, the wiper switch, the radio dial, and the little vent lever under the dash. You could reach down, feel the shape, and know what would happen before you moved it. No menu, no glare, no tapping a glass rectangle while the road kept moving. Modern screens are powerful, but they can turn simple chores into searches. That is why buyers are pushing back, and automakers are bringing some buttons home. And if physical controls made driving easier, the next feature made simply getting in and out feel special. In some big American coupes, the seat did not just slide. It turned toward you. Chrysler leaned into this idea in the space age years, when interiors were treated like lounges, not workstations. A swivel seat made a low, wide car easier to enter, especially in a dress, a suit, or tight parking. The problem was hidden underneath. Extra hinges, locks, weight, cost, and later crash rules made the trick harder to justify. Still, it solved a real human problem with a little theater. Put all 12 together, and a pattern appears that is bigger than nostalgia. That pattern is not that designers forgot how to make charming cars. Most of these features were squeezed out by forces you can measure: crash tests, emissions targets, wind tunnels, assembly time, warranty claims, theft rates, and the price of every extra bracket. And to be fair, the trade worked. Modern cars stop harder, rust slower, pollute less, and protect you in crashes that would have been terrifying decades ago. But something got flattened along the way. The little rituals, the reach, click, vent, latch, and twist. So the question is is not whether America should bring the past back exactly, it is which pieces deserve a second chance. That is what people miss. Not weak brakes, not bad crash protection, not 10 miles per gallon. They miss vent windows that aimed fresh air at your face, bench seats that made room, column shifters, floor dimmers, full-size spares, pillarless hardtops, and T-tops that turned an ordinary drive into something you remembered. The best old features made cars feel less like sealed devices and more like companions. If you enjoyed this, subscribe for more automotive history and tell us which one of these features was in your first car. Thanks for watching.